Jerry Parr, Dennis Celsor, and special guest today, Meredith Marsh with the Doss House. She's a program coordinator, and we are broadcasting live from the pavilion here in front of the Green Building Resource Center, talking about the Doss House. What a great pavilion, what a great display here, traveling all across the United States and Canada, all the way from Germany here. And Meredith, we appreciate you being on the show today, but you've got some things that you need to do a little shouting out here, don't you?
Sure, I will give a little shout out here. As we mentioned before, what's really innovative about this pavilion is this is all technology from Germany, and actually I'm with the German American Chamber of Commerce of the Midwest, so our offices are up in Chicago, but the German chambers abroad are actually 120 offices in 80 countries around the world. We've got 6 here in the U.S., so me and my colleagues up in Chicago are planning the international, I guess I should say, aspect of the tour, U.S. and Canada. And then in each city that we stop to on our tour, that's 12 different cities, we're partnering with our local chambers. So that's actually the German American Chamber of Commerce of the Southern U.S. here in Houston. And my colleagues have been really great, helping us set up some of these events, like today on the radio program, and setting up our location here at the Green Building Resource Center in Houston. This project, actually, as I was mentioning before, so technology from Germany, this is being sponsored and supported by the Federal Ministry of Economics and Technology and the Federal Ministry of Transport, Building, and Urban Affairs, that's of the German government, as part of their export initiatives for renewable energy and also for energy efficiency. So what we're doing down here is showcasing a variety of techniques and technologies from Germany, in Germany and also in the U.S., some of them as well, but really with the goal of sort of building those bridges and getting the conversation started and getting some folks in the U.S. involved.
Talking about getting conversation started, Meredith, one of the big things here has to do with solar, okay? I mean, the what kind of got the whole Doss House thing started was winning these solar decathlons. 2007, 2009, team from Germany won the solar decathlons put on by the Department of Energy in the United States. And so you kind of took some of the technology that they used to win those competitions, and you're showcasing some of that technology. And a big part of it is solar. Germany is the world's largest consumer of solar voltaic panels. But the panels you have on display here are not your average panels. Tell us a little bit about the differences. What makes these panels maybe something that our listeners haven't seen before?
Sure, and also something you're really going to want to check out. The type of solar that we have here is actually what's called a CIS thin film photovoltaic. And the CIS just stands for copper indium selenide, not to get too technical.
Now, you spit that out really easily there, didn't you?
I've said it a lot of times. But not to get too technical, it's basically just a different chemical makeup from maybe the typical solar that a lot of people are used to seeing is the monocrystalline and polycrystalline silicon panels. Because of the CIS technology, the chemical structure, it actually needs a lot less, takes up a lot less space. It's about 1 to 2 micrometers in thickness, the CIS material that's on the substrate there that holds it in place. And whereas maybe with silicon, as a lot of people might, you're picturing the panels up on the roof sort of bracketed up. CIS has a couple benefits over that. It's much thinner, as I mentioned, and actually has a higher tolerance for high temperatures. So there's less ventilation required of the panels. So it's really perfect for building integrated photovoltaics. So when we're talking about the solar decathlon, and here down on the pavilion, we actually have we have some panels up on the roof, but we also integrated into the shells of our 2 containers. We actually have these PV systems.
Now you have some of them mounted on louvers. This was the first time I have seen louver-mounted solar panels. Tell us what's the background on the louver-mounted ones.
All right, so for the 2007 Solar Decathlon House, and that was actually the first year they did the Solar Decathlon, and the way that competition works is running a house on solar for a whole week. There's actually 10 different challenges you go through, hence the decathlon. But you're really looking to get the highest bang for your buck when you're designing a pavilion. And just like Doss House, designed and built in Germany, and then came over for the competition in Washington D.C. In the case of the Solar Decathlon House. And our pavilion is also completely designed and built in Germany, and then brought over here for the tour. Basically, what these photovoltaic louver system is you picture sort of like louvered shutters, big, about 8 feet high on the outside of the building, fixed with these thin film photovoltaics. And because they're so thin, you're able to mount it to a louver, whereas the traditional solar panels, you're going to need a much bigger, more traditional infrastructure. And you're not only then getting the solar energy harvested that way, but you're also shading the interior, which is, especially on on a sunny afternoon. And when we're talking about the whole gamut of high-tech to low-tech, the CIS thin film being a pretty high-tech solution, but, exterior shading, they've been doing that for centuries, especially, I'm sure, down here in Houston.
Overhangs and...
exactly,
Right.
overhangs, exterior shading. The benefit of that being, even if you have curtains or blinds in your house to keep the sunlight out, it's already passed through the window. It's already stuck in there. AC unit or whatever it might be is just having to compensate for that extra heat, let alone how hot the air is inside. So in some ways, just keeping it out in the first place can be a pretty...
Now, window shading is huge.
Mm-hmm.
That is huge. So this is a very innovative way to go about that shading. So this is thin film technology. What else can it be applied to? You've got it on the louvers. How else can thin film be applied?
So thin film, and in the case of our pavilion, we've actually got panels as well. So maybe not what you're thinking with a traditional silicon panel, but a more commercially available product, a large panel. We actually have 8 of those units on the back of our room container that are insulated in the back so they don't heat up the inside too much. And so we've got that.
This would be what you might call something like a curtain wall.
Sure.
Sometimes this is being, some of the newer technology now is able to put solar panels on the side walls of buildings,
Mm-hmm.
so that you can now harvest the sunlight, like on the south-facing wall of a building. You can harvest that sunlight and actually turn it into electricity. So this is kind of a curtain wall technology that you've got available. That's a different one that you'd be seeing. Of course, the panels up on the roof are fixed panels, but that's where you're going to capture a lot of the light all day long. Now, one of the things I think you mentioned earlier about the thin film technology is they work in cloudy times as well.
Yeah, so with the thin film, because it's a different cell structure. Actually, the silicon works best when it's in direct sunlight, as maybe some folks in Houston know, or definitely in Germany or some of the northern climate regions. You're not getting the best bright sunny days every single day, but for the thin film, it's actually a very shade tolerant cell structure. So it's going to be performing for you even on overcast days. There's still the UV radiation that's cutting through the clouds, and it's able to work with that. And then I mentioned also as well the temperature coefficient. So it can be integrated right into the shell, as we were mentioning, because you don't really have to ventilate it as much at the back. They get pretty warm, but they're still producing energy for us.
Now, one of the challenges of solar is that it tends to only produce electricity when the sun's shining, or when it's at least when it's light. But we need electricity 24 hours a day. So you've got a pretty unique battery system here. Tell us a little bit about the battery system.
So we do. So yeah, as I mentioned before, one of the great things here is that we not only have the panels, which are, like I mentioned before, are mounted to the walls, so you can actually go up and touch them and see them firsthand. We also have the battery backup storage system here on site as well. And the kind of batteries that I think you're referring to, it's a lead-acid battery, but instead of your traditional flooded cell lead-acid battery, it actually has a gel electrolyte. This means it's a completely enclosed system, so during the charge, when hydrogen and oxygen split, they actually then immediately recombine, so sort of refueling the battery with water, virtually maintenance-free. You don't have to add water to them. And then because of the fact that they're a totally closed system, you don't have the risk of the acid, any acid leakage or anything like that. And then the ventilation requirements for the space are much reduced. So I think especially for a homeowner, if you come down and look at our units, they're just in a cabinet the size of a closet or a crawl space, and because these are gel electrolyte as well, they're safe. If someone goes in there, there's no risk of burns or anything like that, and the ventilation requirements are drastically reduced as well, so it's a little bit more user friendly.
You were telling me that when you were in your last tour was in Atlanta last month, right? October.
Yes.
You were in Atlanta. One of the things you mentioned there is that there is a German company who has opened a factory near Atlanta. They're in Georgia. You said Dublin, Georgia,
Dublin,
right?
Georgia.
Okay. And they are building solar panels here in the United States for sale in the United States, and brought 1 or 2 jobs to Georgia, right?
They sure did. Yeah, like you mentioned, there's a plant in Dublin, Georgia, and they've created 350 jobs, creating actually their panel's a monocrystalline silicon panel, producing those panels for the U.S. market, built in the U.S. And this is really what the tour is all about. We're talking about transatlantic partnerships, knowledge exchange. Germany's been doing a lot in the energy efficiency and renewable energy fields for decades. They're a little ahead of the ball on us. Having a product that's engineered in Germany but built in the U.S. for the U.S. market and providing U.S. jobs, it's a great success story for this sort of program.
Well, we're broadcasting live from the Das Haus. We're downtown Houston at 1012 Washington Avenue. We'll be here until the tour will be here open until 6 today. Be here Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday of next week from 10 until 6. You can get more information online at dasshaustour.com, DASHAUSTOUR.com.